Hi, my name is Kasia Sturgeon, and I am a behavioral health technician with Arizona DUI Services. Today we're going to do a group, and it's going to be about relapse prevention and how important it is to have a plan to avoid relapse or deal with it effectively. So first of all, what is relapse? If you've been in recovery or attended any AA or NA meetings, you're probably familiar with the word. But basically, relapse means going back to using after you've been abstinent for some time. It's definitely an ever-present threat during recovery. The National Institute on Drug Abuse estimates that 40 to 60% of people who were once addicted to drugs or alcohol will eventually relapse. So just even from that statistic, you can see how it is definitely an ongoing threat when you are in recovery. So it's important to recognize the stages of relapse. They usually happen in 3 stages: emotional, mental, and physical. The process can start weeks or even months before you actually start to drink or use drugs again. So you're definitely at risk of relapsing during each of these 3 phases. So there's the emotional relapse, the mental relapse, and the physical relapse. So the emotional relapse, you may have thoughts and behaviors that are maybe setting you up for a relapse. So you may be isolating, you may be keeping your emotions bottled up, you may feel anxious and angry. Some people don't sleep or eat very well. So during that emotional relapse, it's like a whole new way of life, right? Learning to live without depending on drugs or alcohol. So this is a very common phase that people can get caught up in, is the emotional relapse. Next, we have the mental relapse, and in that phase, you're kind of at war with yourself. So parts of you want to use, a lot of people, they remember the good times, when they were using. So maybe you met up at a friend's house or a bar or a restaurant, on Friday nights, and you had fun, so a lot of people, they remember the good times when they're drinking or using drugs, and they don't necessarily remember the bad. So people will start bargaining with themselves and just kind of planning in their head, to use again, and even kind of justify the using, like, well, I've had a hard week, or I've worked really hard, like I deserve this. So then the next stage is the physical relapse, and that is when you actually start, drinking or using that drug again. And it's just one lapse is all it takes, that drink or using again, and that is the relapse. So it's really important to know your triggers. That may be another word that you have heard many times. So certain people, places, and situations can drive you back into drinking or using drugs. So it's really important to be aware of your triggers so you can avoid them, or you can at least, have a plan in place to leave that situation if need be. So some of the most common relapse triggers are listed here. Withdrawal symptoms. Some people do experience physical withdrawal symptoms, and it can be headaches, it could be shaking, even an overall achiness, headaches, Another trigger are bad relationships. So sometimes, well, most of us, all the time, we do have maybe unhealthy relationships, and that may be a trigger that got you into using in the first place. And so again, it's a time in recovery where you need to look at those relationships in your life and and make that decision, like, is this relationship healthy? Like, is this worth it? Is it a positive thing in my life? Even sometimes family can be unhealthy for us. So definitely looking at relationships because those can definitely be a trigger and can lead to relapse. The next one is people who enable you. So again, this can be family. Family is usually one that I always think of when someone, in addiction, maybe someone is enabling them. So those are people, they mean well. Most of the time they don't even realize what they're doing because they're just so used to playing that part of the enabler, whether it's, making sure that that person is up and ready for work or school, even though they were out drinking all night or using all night, and, just kind of taking the blame for it, just, kind of covering for them, like making sure, that they don't take the fall, So definitely people who enable you. Again, in my experience, because I'm also, have gone through recovery, for me, it was family. Our family, they always see the best in us. They love us no matter what, good and bad. And so unfortunately, those are usually the people that end up being the enabler, and it's definitely a trigger. Another trigger are drug supplies. So, if you have pipes laying around or in your car, some people just even like having a wine glass, in their house, that can definitely be a trigger. Places where you used to drink or use drugs. So again, if there was a place that maybe you and your friends always met up at, on a Friday night, and that place, it will bring back a lot of feelings, and definitely a trigger. That's, again, another thing that I can relate to when I was in recovery, and just there were certain places that I had to avoid, and that's all part of recovery, changing your surroundings, your company. I think they used to call it people, places, and playmates or something like that. But anyway, I'm sure it's changed. That was like 22 years ago. But anyway, so another trigger is loneliness. When you're in recovery, you've probably had to change, the people that you used to once hang out with and use with. So again, that can leave you feeling lonely, and you may have to find like a new circle of friends, that support you in your recovery, and they encourage you, and so that can, produce a lot of loneliness, when you don't have those same people in your life, even if they were, unhealthy for you. And then stress. That is something that is really difficult to get away from as an adult. But again, it can be done, just finding new ways to cope with stress, healthy ways. And then another one is poor self-care, not eating like you should, sleeping, not managing stress, not exercising. Poor self-care is, definitely likely to take you back down that road of, wanting to use to fill whatever void there is. So really important to take care of ourselves. It's really important to remember your reasons for quitting. So when the urge to use hits you, remind yourself why you started down the path to recovery in the first place. So for me, I would always think of my family. I'm very blessed. I have a very supportive family, very supportive support system. I'm very thankful. So they were the ones that, when I was 20, they did an intervention with me, and they were just like, if you don't get help with this, like we're done. We cannot watch you kill yourself basically anymore. So that's what I would always think of, was my family. And just thinking about how out of control or sick you felt when you were using. So again, when I was using, I felt very out of control, very bad about myself, just always sick. I always felt like I was covering for myself, lying for myself. It was like a constant state of lies and covering, and it's just no way to live. So, and then remembering the embarrassing things you may have done, or the people you may have hurt. So again, just, remembering those things and just how it made you feel and how you never want to go back there, is very important. So just remembering why you were in recovery. And then also focus on how much better your life will be once you stop using drugs or alcohol for good. Think about what's driving you to quit, such as rebuilding damaged relationships, and getting healthy again. So again, that was one thing that, kept me motivated in recovery, was just, I guess, focusing on, having a better life. Like, I was young. I'm thankful for that too. I was 20. So I went into a 30-day inpatient treatment program. And then from there, I went directly into a halfway house, just at my own will, because I didn't want to go back to living the life that I was living. So it really helped, to live with. In the halfway house, I lived with much older women, and for me, it was good for me to see, these women were in their 30s, 40s, 50s, and they didn't have their kids, and I just knew, that I didn't want to live like that, and I just knew there was a better way. So anyway, just focusing on how much better your life will be, once you stop using, and it is possible. It really is. So. And another important piece of information, and I cannot stress this enough, asking for help. Like, do not be afraid to ask for help. Don't try to do recovery by yourself. Having that support system will make the process so much easier. And I feel like when we are around people that experience the same things and going through the same hurts, and they've gone through similar journeys, it really connects people, and it's just nothing, there's nothing like that support, to keep us going. So definitely ask for help. Also, you can ask your medical professional, your doctor, for a treatment to help you control withdrawal symptoms. You can also meet with a therapist or counselor that they can help teach you coping skills to help you deal with the negative thoughts or cravings that may be, triggering you to want to use again, and also help you discover what those triggers are, and just how you can manage those. And then friends and family, definitely big support again for myself, but I do realize that not everyone has, some people, their family is a total trigger for them, or friends are. So that's where I guess I would go back to like support groups, AA and NA. There's a lot of people that will encourage you to, stay clean. And let's see, I used to go to NA, and I believe they called them sponsors. I don't know if they're still called that. I think they are. But, get yourself a sponsor, someone that you can, call on, when you're struggling, and they really will help, mentor you to just stay on the right path and like remind you, why you're doing this. So. And then also caring for yourself is, I know we kind of covered this before, but it's really important, looking for healthier ways to reward yourself instead of, drinking or using drugs. And that takes time. It really does. It takes time. It takes practice. It takes even finding out who you really are. I know this isn't the case for everyone, but again, I was young. I was 20. I didn't really know who I was, so it was kind of interesting. It was kind of fun to get to know, what I do like and what I don't like. And it was like finding a whole new person. So, just finding ways to reward yourself instead of using is key. So getting into a self-care routine is really important. Getting enough sleep, at least 7 hours. I know a lot of us are parents, or we're students, or we're both, and that can be difficult, but there is nothing like getting enough sleep. So, and then eating a well-balanced diet, definitely getting enough fruits, vegetables, protein, and then also daily exercise. Even if it's like 20-30 minutes a day. This is something I'm super passionate about, just starting small. Like, you have to start somewhere, and it makes you feel so much better. So definitely, getting enough exercise, and even if it's, start like 2 times a week, and then the next week 3 times a week, and just build from there, and you'll see progress, and you'll want to keep going. So yeah, so relaxing and taking time to do things that make you happy is a very important part of self-care. Be kind to yourself, acknowledge that recovery is a difficult process, and you're doing the best you can. It's definitely a process. And just a takeaway, again, just realizing that recovery from drug and alcohol addiction can be a long and challenging process. The odds of relapsing are high, so all of these things are very important. I cannot stress enough the support system, the support groups, AA, NA. Again, there's something about connecting with people that are going through the same things, and making that connection. It connects people every time. And realizing that you are not alone, and many people are struggling with addiction. And it's also important to be aware of the 3 stages of relapse that we went over: the emotional, mental, and physical. Just always want to watch out for those signs, that you could start using again. And then get professional help and care for yourself during your recovery. It's okay to ask for help. It's a tough world out there, so definitely, finding a therapist, a mentor, your sponsor, someone you can really trust. And just the more committed you are to the process, the more likely you are to succeed. So anyway, I just want to thank you for joining me today. And, if you need any resources, AA, NA meetings, please let me know, or let Robin know, and we would like to help you. Thank you.